Police emergency.
I want to report a missing person, my partner, just as if he's just vanished.
Every 2 minutes, someone in Britain is reported missing.
Oh, it's my flesh and blood out there. Tears you apart.
Let's have a detailed 20-metre search of the ground area.
It's hard to read a person's mind, but there's always got to be a reason as to why.
Police are becoming increasingly concerned for a 77-year-old woman missing from her home in Thornton Huff.
It's like a needle in a haystack.
Could we do the hospital checks again, please?
The key for each investigation is to piece together the missing person's last known movements.
It's that scramble to try and find that crucial piece of information that will set you off in the right direction.
14:33 was the last time she was seen on CCTV.
What I want to know is, where are you going?
Was somebody abducted, killed, murdered?
Following Cheshire Police, cameras capture everyone's perspective minute by minute as the cases unfold.
I did see a lady up the public footpath by my house.
Possible site of a miss from Boyle Street.
For loved ones left at home, everything hangs in the balance.
I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy.
That's me.
Who's got him?
They've got him.
Cheshire Police, how may I help you?
Hi there, it's Mark Moran of the Blue Apple Veterans Association over in Warrington. One of our veterans that's gone missing. It's a Mark Smith. He's not been seen at home since around about 8 o'clock last night. Put things on Facebook saying that he's had enough, he's going to end it all.
So what mental health issues does he suffer from?
Complex combat stress, PTSD. I think if people approached him, then that could end up in some sort of disturbance, flash, rage type thing. He may feel that he's back in Northern Ireland again because he does suffer from flashbacks, and he maybe feel that, you know, the IRA are coming for him when he could be you guys.
Yeah, it's Blue Apple Veterans, 32 to 34 Buttermarket Street.
56-year-old former soldier Mark Smith hasn't been seen since leaving his home last night. Officers are dispatched to the Blue Apple, a charity he set up 5 years ago to support other veterans.
Yeah, I think there's no way we can get into the back. Go to the door.
It was colleague Mark Moran who called the police after being alerted by Mark's wife, Denise.
Got a message from Denise that he'd been round causing trouble, had some problems there. And I thought, right, okay, I've tried getting hold of Mark, I was getting no answers. Got up this morning, Denise still hadn't seen him and was worried. Basically, his behaviour's completely erratic. He's aggressive with people, he's scaring people, he's making people cry, and that is out of character for him.
Mark was becoming more and more unpredictable before he went missing. Him and his wife had started arguing. I just knew then there was something wrong, something was coming. He was diagnosed complex PTSD. It dates back to when he's mostly seen something on, when he's been on manoeuvres. He becomes very entrenched. Anxiety raging deep within himself. He becomes almost unreachable.
First of all, I did a sweep of the building. I found the CCTV unplugged when I came in. It was switched off at 20 to 8 this morning. All I've got on him is 8 o'clock last night leaving the building, and that's when he was going to his wife's. Went to his office, and his office, I've took photos of it, but his office was just immaculate on his desk. That's how it was left. That's not usually him. He's left his wallet behind, he's left his phone behind, he's took the SIM card, and he's took all the cash.
Okay, can you take us to his office?
Yeah, next door.
Sorry, thank you.
So his personal belongings.
That's his phone, but the SIM card's missing.
Yeah. There's a hell of a lot of shredding on. There's hardly any paperwork anywhere which is not marked. It's usually all over the place. He's cleaned the whole building.
Yeah.
Once I saw what was on the table, it was cold shivers down my backside. It felt like to me a suicide note. They'd left it all perfectly in order so people could find it, so they could carry on the charity. I just knew we had to find him as quick as we could. The longer he's out there, the more time he had the chance to ruminate and think about things and plan things. I, at that point, do not see a good way out of this.
Psychosis, PTSD on meds, depression, suicidal thoughts, warning signals.
At HQ, Sergeant Paul Chadwick quickly assesses the information. Mark's complex mental health means he's classified as a high-risk missing person.
Combat stress is not something I deal with on a regular basis, but I have dealt with instances in the past. From experience, when it does go wrong, it can go spectacularly wrong in terms of them ending up at the top of a car park, on the top of a bridge, and everything comes crashing down very quickly around them. So the clock is ticking and it's against us.
Last week he lost his temper in the workplace, in the cafe, and had been throwing things around in front of customers and reducing staff members to tears. Well, that's not good.
When did you last see Mark?
It was about 8:30 last night. He was really angry and aggressive, and that's why we had the argument.
An officer has come to the home Mark shares with wife Denise and her children to find out more about Mark's state of mind.
I don't know which way to feel because he's done this before. He's gone before. There's never any set rules on what to do, because when he's like this, it's either leave him alone and he'll come down and he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But without taking his meds, there's very little chance of that because they're already out of his system now for 2 weeks. He hasn't even got them with him.
Oh, he's not took them?
No, they're all in the kitchen. My fear is this time he won't come down naturally. He'll stay on this massive high of erratic behaviour and aggression and everything that his illness causes. He's just been on self-destruct for weeks. Last week was horrendous, going really angry and aggressive. He'd reduced a lot of his medication. For one reason or another, he thought he could cope without it, and it just all got too much. Mark's been missing 3 times in the past 11 years, and this time's felt very different. Last time he went missing, the car was picked up on the cameras.
So that's why he's not
taking the car, because he doesn't want to be found.
Yeah.
When I realised that he was missing, properly missing, I felt sick to the stomach. I can't get on with my life. Everything just stops. I don't want to go out in case I miss a phone call. I don't want to stay in case I should be looking for him. I don't know what to say to the kids. I need him to get home, and I need us to be a family.
Because Mark has been missing 3 times before, Sergeant Chadwick is looking back over previous reports for any clues as to where he might have gone.
He wants to escape, as it's every soldier's duty to escape. May attempt suicide by police by gunfire. That's not good. Can you make sure that's broadcast out? Because my concern is if he's known for suicide by cop, it's a very unusual marker.
It was information from an incident a couple of years ago where Mark had expressed that he wanted to go to a public environment with a firearm and to present the weapon to firearms officers when they attended so that they would be left with no option but to shoot Mark. In 9 years service, I've only ever seen suicide by cop on the Police National Computer once. It's a very rare marker. The added complication as well is that military background and that training Mark served in Northern Ireland, worked in private security in Afghanistan and Iraq. Clearly, he's got the ability to fight, he's got the ability to fend for himself. Given his military training, from a policing point of view, he could be very dangerous.
We obviously believe that he's obviously stayed somewhere the night. There's only obviously two options for that. He's stayed outdoors somewhere, or he stayed in a hotel.
No one has seen Mark since last night. Police need to work out fast whether he's still in the Warrington area.
At the minute, we've got no current friends or family that we believe he's staying with, and he's not got access to his vehicle, which means that he can only be within the local vicinity.
Because he's not actually got his phone with him, he's got his SIM. He's got a SIM card, so potentially he's put his SIM card back in a phone.
With Mark in a highly vulnerable state, Sergeant Ruth Atherton has been able to apply for authorisation from the superintendent to access his phone data.
Because Mark is potentially such a risk to himself, the telephone data and analysis is one of those things that we use. So as well as the ingoing and outgoing calls from his mobile phone, we can also ping his phone in a particular mast so we can locate him in an area.
Last time it has connected is at 4:28 in the morning. It looks like he's been in and out of these two postcoded areas, which one is up here, and then he's gone to this one, which is where he works. Then he's gone back up here again, so it looks like he's frequenting between these two postcodes, and we know he's on foot because we're trying to find somewhere he stayed overnight. So what we'll have to do now is direct our inquiries along this area here where he may have walked.
The areas pinpointed by Mark's phone records include numerous pubs and hotels. Officers are dispatched to carry out immediate checks.
And if he does come in or you see something match the description, if you can give us a quick call.
Got nothing on this, mate.
All right, thank you for your help. Thank you, bye-bye.
We've had soldiers that have literally just cracked because of situations that have happened and something's triggered that. And basically it puts them back to where they were at the worst sites that they're seeing. So right now, it's very, very worrying for me as to where he's gone.
When Mark gets into that zone, he's so focused on the negative. It's in a really, really dark place. He thinks everybody is working to destroy him. He has the potential to be dangerous, but I think he's more of a danger to himself.
We're just dealing with a high-risk missing person over in the Warrington area, and we believe he may have checked into one of the local hotels. His name's Mark Smith.
Not seen him personally.
But he is reported as a high-risk missing person, so obviously we've got some concerns in relation to him.
We've just checked the travel lodge. There's nobody at the hotel by that name.
What's an update for Mr. Checks at the Butcher's Bar? Negative for the mail there.
Lane and also the Irish club on there, negative.
Warrington is a large town of over 200,000 people. Sergeant Atherton has asked CCTV control room operators to try and locate Mark on one of the town centre's 23 cameras.
Okay, any update on whether we've spotted him? So it doesn't capture him coming up and from any other angle? Right. Apparently he's got quite an individual walk.
And nobody's seen him, he seems to have vanished.
Can't find him on Buttermarket Street, can we? So it's a bit of a needle in a haystack.
We know that he turned the CCTV off at the Blue Apple, and he's not been seen on CCTV all around Warrington. My concern is that This is planned. We can't find him because he is aware of the CCTV cameras and he's done his best to hide so we can't see him. And if he has decided that he is going to go and harm himself or others, he's very much in control of this situation.
CCTV has offered no clues.
Can you go through with me any addresses you think he might have gone to, or anywhere you think he might be?
But police checks for any connections in the area where Mark's phone was active reveal one associate.
We was up here drinking together on Friday for hours on end.
He's high risk. There's been a suggestion that he may be with a female. She's not been contactable all day either.
The trace on Mark's phone narrows it down to a neighbourhood north of the Blue Apple. The associate's flat is within this area.
Crime Stopper intel reference that female has illegal weapons, crossbows, swords, daggers and blades. Dangerous in the past. She's been seen aiming an automatic crossbow at neighbours. 214 was that received?
Yeah, 127 that's received. Is it appropriate then that we go unarmed?
Do not knock on until given the go-ahead.
It's not often that we have somebody of such high risk who is potentially a killer with another high-risk individual. Has he visited somewhere where he might be able to arm himself, to get himself ready for whatever he's going to do? It can be very dangerous. We need to make sure that those officers are prepared.
Extra officers are drafted in to search the associate's house and the surrounding area.
It's been cleared by the fin. Double crewed with taser, can knock on.
Just about to knock on.
Delta Romeo 127, have you got the back covered?
Yes. Just searched the house and the garden. There's just nobody in there.
We know that Mark's phone was pinging in that area. He might not necessarily be in the house. He could be staying in the whereabouts because we know he can survive outside. What's worrying for me is what's he planning to do next?
There's no words to describe what it's like. I didn't ever think that he would really take it to the point where I really thought, this is it. When we first met 11 years ago, Mark was quite straight for saying he'd got problems, and I didn't think much of it. It became really apparent how severe he was with PTSD the first time I saw him have a flashback. He was trying to hide, he was crying, he was sweating profusely, he was crouching. It was something from a film. The emotional roller coaster was absolutely draining.
Mark is nowhere to be found. But checks at Warrington train station have resulted in a potential sighting.
Different clothing, but he's got a rucksack, so he could have had it at work.
Yeah.
What about get that up
Got
to
that
Mark?
funny gate, you see.
Well,
Yeah.
Get out to the informant, and then we'll try and get to this.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mark. That's splendid.
So can you see from looking at that if that is Mark?
Definitely. No doubt.
We'll confirm that with the sergeant there at the train station there.
Okay.
DC Steve Sanson heads to the station to start checking their cameras.
We found him coming into the station.
Several cameras have picked up Mark at Warrington Bank Quay Station at 8:40 this morning, 12 hours after he was last seen by Denise.
It's very significant to see that CCTV footage. You can see him walking into the train station. He's very calm. What I want to know is, why have you got your rucksack? What's in that rucksack? Where are you going, Mark? Where's that ticket going to, and what are you planning to do when you get there? My concern is that he's very controlled. He seems to know exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly where he's going. We just need to make sure that we get one step ahead of him before he can fulfil what he wants to do.
It's almost 11 p.m. 14 hours since Mark was picked up by the station's CCTV, meaning he could be anywhere in the UK by now. But the ticket office is closed for the night, so police have no way of knowing what train Mark ordered or whether he even got one. DC Sanson needs to work through footage from every platform to find out.
Put a picture of Scotland on social media, but we've confirmed that's an old photograph.
Meanwhile, Sergeant Atherton's team are trying to work out where Mark might go.
There's a job in Wales, but there's also one up in Scotland.
He said it's Mole Famo in Wales is where we normally goes to when he goes missing.
Okay, well, up the actual mountain, or
just that area.
Right.
She couldn't say where he would camp there.
He's ex-military, you see, so he can keep. He knows how to survive, doesn't he?
At Warrington Bank Quay Station, the CCTV operator has spotted something.
Is there?
What train is it?
It would be the north end of coach D or the south end of C.
It's a Glasgow service.
It's confirmation that Mark boarded a train almost 2 hours after he arrived at the station.
We've done some further inquiries at the Banky railway station, and we can now confirm that he's got on the 10:27 train to Glasgow. And unfortunately, the place where he bought his ticket from is closed across the road, so we don't know where he's bought his ticket.
Ticket office is closed.
Yeah.
Sergeant Atherton contacts a family member of Mark's to find out whether he has any connection to Scotland.
Hi, my name's Ruth. I'm a sergeant from down in Warrington in Cheshire. I certainly am looking for Mark. Any ideas where he might be? We are struggling. Yeah. Right. Aviemore. When he goes to Aviemore, is there somewhere he particularly sleeps, or is it just he... Yeah.
Mark's family know that he's previously visited an Aviemore retreat for veterans with PTSD, run by a relative who was also in the military.
We know he's got connections up in Scotland, but he's got family members up there, and he's been there in the past. And the property that he goes to is, well, it's like an old ex-army camp. It's run by a family member who's very proactive and obviously knows we're concerned for Mark, that he's not hurt himself. So he is on board. Police Scotland are aware.
Yeah.
Hi there, it's the police officer up in Aviemore, Scotland.
Hi, yeah.
Do with your missing person?
Mark Smith?
Yes.
Have you got an update for us on that one?
Officers have made contact with George Gaff at Rocky Marcus Lodge, cousin of Miss Purr. And officers have searched grounds around Lodge, which is a negative result.
As soon as I got the phone call telling me that Mark had disappeared, I was hoping and praying that he was coming here. If I've got him here, can't control him, but I can try and control the situation. It can get quite dark for Mark. Myself and Mark spoke when Mark had suicidal thoughts. I always say to Mark, never ever, if you've got these thoughts and you think like, get here, get to me. I was expecting a phone call, from Aviemore train station saying, I've arrived in Aviemore, come and pick me up. That's when I started getting worried. Is this a dark one? Is this a bad one? Is this the one that's going to tip him over the edge?
We've checked the lodges. Police Scotland have already been out there.
But the problem is you can go anywhere in Scotland from there, can't you? That's it.
I think we're struggling from now on because we've lost him really from this morning, haven't we?
It's probably the loneliest time I've ever felt. You don't even know if it is a bereavement or not. That night went on forever. But it wasn't his fault. He didn't ask for this. His PTSD all started from when he was 18 in Northern Ireland. And he went to a scene where 4 of his friends had been blown up. And there was just a crater. And at 18, that scene, the smell, and everything has never left him. When they go into the military, a lot of them go in as boys, and they do and see things that they wouldn't normally do. But when they come out, they don't get looked after. PTSD in this country is massively misunderstood. So we decided to set the charity up to get people together that have been through similar things, all military and families, to try and support each other.
Police are trying to find a man who's gone missing from his home in Warrington. 52-year-old Mark Smith of Great Sankey was last seen just before 10:30 boarding a train at Bank Quay Station. More on this on the news pages of Wire FM.
A new shift is starting at Warrington Police Station.
His background is ex-military, and as a result, he's stating that he's suffering from PTSD, on medication with regards to antidepressants, antipsychotic, anti-anxiety disorder.
Sergeant Helen Hayes is now coordinating the search, assisted by PC Brendan Glover.
The confirmed sighting from the CCTV is at 10:26 on platform 4 at Warrington Bank Quay. It's him getting on the train.
So if you could go to Warrington Bank Quay and see where he's bought the ticket to, how much it cost. We know he's presumably paid by cash.
Yeah.
And just come back to us.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Super.
Right.
I'll let you know how we get on. I'm led to believe on our log the time he's purchased the ticket was 08:49 and 57. Now, basically, what I need to know is where his journey's terminated.
As time goes on and the investigation progresses, it gives me concern. The location where we anticipated him to be was negative, unfortunately. We can't rule out the possibility that he's gone to any airport within the country and any port. He could have travelled anywhere.
They've done a trial of the transactions.
Yeah.
The only person buying a ticket at that time bought a ticket to Preston. £8.20, so potentially he's gone as far as Preston. The problem that we have is, when he gets there, he can go with either Northern or Transpennine if he wants to continue his journey on a train.
Right, I've allocated to Al the CCTV inquiries.
Are they saying that the only ticket that's been bought is Preston?
Yeah.
Could have stayed on and gone all the way to Glasgow.
Yeah, if nobody checked his ticket.
Well, they don't, because once you only check your ticket once you're on, don't you?
Yeah.
We've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, if you include Wigan, places he could potentially be. So he's a smart guy. You know, he's a very smart guy, and he knows how we work. And the fact that he's done things like he's cut up his bank card and he's left his mobile phone at home, and that kind of suggests nobody does that unless they don't want to be found.
Mark's very aware of police tactics. It's quite apparent he's looked at the CCTV cameras and placed the Metro newspaper in front of his face in order to avoid the cameras. It could be a red herring for him to just board a train to one stop and get off and then swap to another train line or another mode of transport and go in the total opposite direction. I've got to bear it in mind that it could be him, ultimately playing tricks with us, and us focusing our investigation onto the train and the locations that train stops at, rather than actually elsewhere.
Bishop Police, how can I help you?
Hi there, it's Mark Brown here from Buttermarket Veterans over in Warrington. I've got an update on Mark Smith. We've just had some information come in from one of his friends who's also a veteran that he has been saying for a number of weeks that he wants to get out of the country, either Spain or the Far East where he's got friends. You could, check a sort of like airports, ports, that sort of thing.
Doing a flight manifest now because the update says that he's been talking about wanting to go to Spain or the Far East.
Wait by the phone, and once Brett's finished, if he's in a position with any updates, to come into the meeting.
Faced with this new intelligence, Inspector Kelly Johnson has called a briefing to reassess the search strategy.
Airports, Preston.
Flight's just come back as negative, the flight manifest, although it's not 100% fail-safe on his details that we've got. He's not exited the country on a plane.
Because I'm led to believe we've seized his driving licence as well. Yeah, if we've got a driving licence, he can't hire a car, so potentially wherever he goes, he's going to be a foot passenger, isn't he?
What is it that's made everybody assume that he's gone off to kill himself?
Probably because of his mental health, the argument with his wife. He's not returned home on the Friday evening.
But my understanding is he's done that before, hasn't he?
He does this quite regularly. When they've had an argument, he will disappear.
Okay, so we need to know what's different about this argument then, don't we?
But if he had intention of committing suicide, he has arrived at Banquet at 8:52 on the 19th. He's had an hour and 40 minutes while sitting at a platform with the Virgin trains
coming and going.
Yep, coming and going.
Helen's quite right, he's been gone for 36 hours. He's had plenty of opportunity. It could be that it's still his mindset, but he's choosing to do it to live his days out somewhere where he's comfortable. We don't know. I think there's a lot we need to do with why to try and understand what's going on in that relationship as well.
If CID are willing and able to go to the address.
A DC is drafted in to re-interview Denise about what's been troubling Mark.
When we're looking for a missing person, the longer that it goes on, sometimes it can be necessary for a detective to become involved. The training that we receive is to investigate serious and complex cases. It's really important that we ensure that we don't assume anything. Think, well, he suffers from PTSD, he's had issues at work. Well, those things may not be the reason why he's gone missing, and we have to look at the bigger picture. What other reasons might there be for him going missing?
Although we're going over old ground in terms of what you've already told us, it's just because we need to make sure that every little possible avenue we go down and we follow up everything.
In terms of the argument, is there anything else that you can think of that's sort of that's relevant, that might be relevant on Saturday?
Everybody has arguments, everybody says things when they're angry.
Yeah.
There's so much pressure, it's ridiculous. We set the charity up 5 years ago. We've come under nothing but stress, and recently we've had a lot of media hate mail and stuff from the Walter Mitty site.
Okay.
And that's caused us a lot of stress and a lot of pressure.
Tell me about that then.
That's a group is on Facebook and social media that they've got about 35,000 people, and they're trying to disprove Mark even served.
Okay.
Which is nonsense. Mark's a profile on Instagram, does read unbelievable. And they attacked him saying he'd never served.
In terms of how that's impacted Mark himself?
He's gone even more paranoid.
This has come from the wife. It's a Facebook page, and there's some suggestion that Mark Smith is a Walter Mitty. I presume it's people that have served, proud of their commitment to the country, and set this up in order to blow the people that haven't and or have lied. This Facebook page, they really don't hold back, hence their language is, this is how much bullshit Smith comes out with. And this individual's put that Mark said, I was pretty much permanently in a flashback. I was in hospital for 8 weeks and spent most of the time living under the bed. I thought I was in Kosovo. The con man has never been to Kosovo. The army he left in 1988, 11 years before Kosovo. The guy is a joke.
The Walter Mitty Hunters Club weed out what you call Walter Mitties, people who have fabricated that they've been in the forces when they've not been in the forces. Or they're suspicious of how long did he serve, where did he serve, who did he serve with. Mark refused to share his service record with other people. He was like, I don't have to show my service record to anyone. To me, if you've served your country, you've served your country.
He was in the artillery when he was in Northern Ireland. And then he went into the TA4 para. And then he'd been a bodyguard. He was going over to Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia. Mark's never claimed he was in Bosnia. Mark's been misinterpreted on a lot of things. The Walter Mitty Hunters, they have trolled him. They've tried to discredit him. And Mark wouldn't fight back. He doesn't need to prove anything. These people have no idea. And as much as Mark said he wasn't affected, he obviously was. It is bullying. And it shouldn't be allowed.
Looking at the Facebook page and the various people that have commented, it does raise a number of questions to the police and to the investigation. If he's dishonest about his military service, what else is he lying about? Are we actually looking for someone that's been exposed to horrendous things and is suffering really bad with mental health and is going to deteriorate massively? Or are we actually looking for a fantasist?
The accusations on the Walter Mitty group are twofold, actually. The first is that he has embellished his service. But the other aspect to it is that the accusations that have been put on Facebook is that there's been issues with the accounting of Blue Apple, so he's been gaining money that he should never have had. Mark might have been trolled, but we still have to look at every possible reason for why he's gone missing to ensure that if there is any truth in the accusations, that they are then dealt with once he has been located.
You mentioned that people have made accusations about you taking money.
People are picking things and making it into something it's not. I think because the accounts are not up to date on the Charity Commission, that shows alarm bells.
I know he's previously been bankrupt.
Yeah.
Is that something that's happened while you two have been together?
Yeah, it was made bankrupt about 6 years ago. So it's a case of clearing all the debt.
Yeah.
Because we have no way of paying it. We don't take a wage from the charity, we don't earn anything.
Okay.
This house is it's for ex-army, and you have to prove you've got no money to live here.
So where do you get your income from then?
Mark has his war pension, his PIP, I have carers allowance, I have family allowance, child tax credit, we have housing benefit, and the car is a mobility car. And we shop in charity shops. The charity wasn't making money. The finances just weren't coming in. You know, we had bills to pay and it just wasn't working. It was Mark's dream. You know, a lot of veterans that Mark's helped have now said that he saved their life. Mark couldn't deal with the administration side of it, and that's what took his toll.
They receive child benefit, housing benefit, child tax credit and carers allowance.
They receive all that.
Carers allowance and ESA. I would like to think the carers allowance is his wife for him, because obviously he's registered as disabled. But obviously that's something we need to check with his wife.
Saying that he's diagnosed with PTSD, and we don't know whether that is a genuine diagnosis. Is he really actually suffering from PTSD? Gives me concern with regards to his honesty and being in a position of responsibility working at the charity.
PC Brett Kirkham is detailed to find out more from Mark Moran about how the charity is being managed.
I am PC Kirkham. Just in relation to Blue Apple, do you know much about the accounts and that for the business?
I came into Blue Apple end of last summer. Mark and Denise had been running it for about 5 years at that point. It offers veterans a place to go to. There's also an outreach service. The veterans also work on site as well. Mark was saying that he needed some professional help in the charity. They'd just created the coffee shop. The Walter Mittys had accused him of a lot of things. There has been accusations of procedures not being followed. Mark's done things that shouldn't have been done the way he did it. I like to think that it's a veteran just bumbling his way through running their charity.
Okay, Mark Moran said, depending on how much the cafe make each month, obviously depends on what contribution they give to the charity. They've got a meeting with the accountant tomorrow, so whether he's prepping for that a little bit, with the financial checks. There was a company set up on the 23rd of August this year. That was set up in the name Blue Apple Coffee Shops Limited, Ltd. Then since then, on the 21st of the 9th this year, they set up another company called Blue Apple Coffee Company Limited. And that was set up in Mark Smith's name. So obviously there's got two coffee companies set up within a month of each other at the same address, piques interest. Nothing has been filed on them yet, but because they've both been activated as new companies, they basically get like 18 months grace.
Okay. Has he stolen and or got access to those accounts? So we really have no idea how much money he could potentially have on him.
A charity can be a very effective vehicle for fraud just by the nature of its setup alone, the fact that it's run by volunteers, the fact that it's trusted, and the fact that maybe people in it aren't professionals and don't know exactly what's going on, and the person at the helm of it, if you like, in this case Mark, is trusted because he set up the charity allegedly to help people.
It raises various hypotheses as to why he's gone missing and does not want to be found. The motivation could be that he has left because he has stolen thousands of pounds, and he ultimately could be subject to a theft or fraud investigation, which could potentially put him in prison.
Hi, Sergeant. There's a lady here. She's received a call from a volunteer at Blue Apple. He's been informed that Mark Moran, who's like the original informant, is on the phone to the MISPA now.
Now? Brett? Can you... Where's Mark Moran now? Where's Mark Moran now?
He should be at the coffee shop.
Can you get there soon as, because allegedly he's on the phone to the missing person? OK, we've got officers obviously get en route in order to hopefully maintain that contact with the MISPA and to debrief Mark. So it's up here?
It is.
It's really good for us to have that contact because A, we know that they're still alive, but also we can obviously do covert tactics to trying to locate where that phone call is coming from.
In 2 minutes, I don't know what the problem is.
Can I just check? Is somebody on the phone to Mark at the moment, or have they been on the phone quite recently?
He phoned me recently.
What time was that? Because the information we've just been given is that somebody's on the phone to him now.
Yeah,
at this point in time. Right, okay.
10 minutes ago.
Have we got, before we do anything else, any indication from him where he is at the moment? Oh, right.
All we've got is that he called on the phone number, phone around the corner there, just to say that he's alive and hung up.
And have you got the number he called from?
We don't use the cafe phone.
Can we have a quick look at the phone? Because there's a couple of things we can do quickly before we start having a conversation with you.
Cheers.
Do you know how to get your last phoned numbers on? We can see all the missed ones. It's a very snazzy phone.
Oh,
yes. It's a little bit too snazzy for me, I'm afraid.
And we just stood there, and the phone rang. So I went, Mark Moran, Cafe Blue Apple, can I help you? And it was him. I went, what? Where are you? What are you doing? I'm not telling you where I am. I don't want anybody to come near me. I'm on my own. I'm out of the way. And every time I questioned him, every time I come to him, he said, I don't want anybody coming near me. I certainly don't want police. I don't want anybody involved. I said, just tell me where you are. I went, no, could you tell the police?
How does he sound?
He sounds lucid. He's not sure whether he's going to do anything stupid yet. He did tell me that. He was tearful and he was down. He wasn't in a very good place at all. And he said, I just want to dig in and bleed to death. Hearing that on the phone when you're hundreds of miles away, helpless, it's not nice. But he didn't want the police involved. He certainly wouldn't appreciate police knocking on the door. That's when he feels threatened. He has to dig in as a soldier. And I think that's the thing that will tip him over the edge. He may see that as an actual, invasion or attack or something like that. Mark doesn't go well with the police trying to, cuff him down. And that's the last thing you want when somebody's in a mental health crisis.
Back at the station, Sergeant Hayes is standing by for the area code Mark called from.
I've googled the number and it comes back to a Grafton on space area code.
Avimore.
Police Scotland have been requested to go there to find him.
I'm just conscious that we might be putting Scottish officers in the line of fire here, i.e. you know, he could potentially kick off.
Sent them the intel package that you sent. I've updated it, put everything on there and said, we don't know how this guy's going to react. He could be from literally one end of the scale to the other. So yeah, they're aware of that.
As soon as Scottish police are alerted that Mark is in the Aviemore area, a patrol is dispatched to the station.
He's up the ante from what he's done before. And as a friend, I'm worried for him. As a veteran, a brother, I'm really worried about him.
I was sitting in my office and I got a text message. It was Mark. I'm in Aviemore. I'm at the train station. So I jumped in the car, went down to pick him up. And I got to the train station, but the police were actually at the train station. The police were watching people come off the train, obviously looking for Mark. And I couldn't find him. I don't know if Mark had seen the police at the station and his body swerved him and left the station for another exit.
I was waiting for the phone to ring. I'm begging for the phone to ring. I'm waiting for, you know, a knock at the door, something. I couldn't carry on.
Who's got him?
I've got him.
No problem, myself, Paddy.
I found him halfway through Aviemore, walking through Aviemore with his Bergen on. I drove alongside him, hooted the horn, rolled the window down, and my exact words to him was, "Get in the car, arsehole." I gave him a hug and I said, "Let's go up to the lodge." Julie, my wife, I phoned the police. You never see a lot in the car. Just looking in his eyes, he was burnt out. He was totally burnt out. When we got to the house, the Aviemore police arrived. They just wanted to make sure he was okay. Then they could tell their colleagues back down in Warrington.
I do believe we've averted a suicide. His insistency on not wanting to be stopped by police, he potentially would have taken his own life at some stage. Will we ever know who Mark Smith is? We may find out eventually.
The moment I found out Mark was alive was relief, massive relief. But I didn't know he was well. I didn't know the state of mind he was in. I never thought for a minute he'd hurt anybody. And it was a while before I knew he'd not harmed himself. Massively complex emotions. There was no happiness. You're still in limbo. You're still waiting.
Build up to the month where I went missing, pressure was too great. I felt like my relationship with my wife was suffering, my children. I started mistrusting everyone. And I felt a failure. And I couldn't cope with it. I couldn't get with the shame of failing. Everything around me was collapsing. It was like loads of buildings were being just blown up, just falling down. I couldn't even tell you how I got to Scotland. I do remember crying all the way up there. I was having a battle. I didn't want to die, but I felt that was the only answer. That was an option that was on the table. When I have this illness, it's all clouded. It's all a mist. I can't see faces. I can't see loved ones. I can't see life. All I can see is the past, and I feel haunted by it. When I saw Denise when I got back, we both cried. She knows I love her. And then I start to think about what I've done and think, you know what, I don't want to die. Because I actually love living. When people are saying things that aren't true, people were saying I never served, or I was never in the Paris, or I never went to Northern Ireland and never did this, never did that. People don't know me. There's no truth at all. It was all lies. People accusing us of theft and mismanagement. I don't disagree on the mismanagement. I was trying to run things on my own. It did have an effect on me. Everyone knows I couldn't spell or do maths, so I didn't really handle the finances. Theft, not a chance. And I told her I can't do the charity anymore. It's finished. I always said to Denise, if we can save one life, it's been all worth it. And that's what we did. We saved lives. I'm very proud. We know we can hold our heads high.